Hello, Sylvian. This is a continuation video of the previous one because I had started with both the poems Dust of Snow and Fire and Ice, but however, the length of the video was going too far, so I thought of cutting it off at the beginning and of the second poem. Now, this is a continuation of Fire and Ice. I have already done a pleasure reading of the poem by Robert Frost and have also discussed that fire and ice they are two symbols of two flaws, two kinds of flaws of human beings. The first one, that is fire, represents desire, greed, and lust, and ice represents coldness of feeling, hatred, obstinacy, and rigidity. Now, in this respect, let me just refer to some cardinal sins mentioned. Okay, seven cardinal sins of human beings that are considered to be the flaws from which this has been, based on this poem has been written by Frost. The seven cardinal sins are, if you take it in their order: pride, then greed, followed by lust, then there is envy, then you have gluttony, then you have wrath, and then sloth. So these are various flaws that uh, hinder the purity of a soul. All right. Now, in contrast to it, there are also seven good qualities. Okay, the four cardinal virtues and the three theological virtues. They are wisdom, courage, temperance, justice, and then faith, hope, and love. Okay. But here in this poem, we are more concerned with the seven cardinal sins, which stop the growth and purification and sanctity of the debar the sanctity of a soul. Now let us go to the poem. Some say the world will end in fire, some say in ice. So some say, this is just a general way of saying that some of the people in the society, they say that this world is going to end in fire. So as I told you, fire means desire to get more, greed and lust. Okay. While others say that no, some it's the world is not going to end in fire, but it's going to end in ice. Why? Because ice actually represents hatred. There's so much of hatred we find all around us: communal hatred, religious hatred, then hatred based on the on fake classifications of caste, creed. Hmm. So these are all so sometimes ingrained within human beings that they forget that they are all, after all, human beings. At the end of the day, we are all human beings. So humanism is taken over by hatred of narrow walls created by the society. All right. Again, obstinacy and rigidity. If you go and try to preach to them, if you try to counsel people that no, see, you should come out of your rigidity, you should consider and embrace each other, thinking that we are all children of God, they will not agree. They're so obstinate and rigid. And this is ultimately going to ruin the world, end the world. So some people say that the world is going to be destructed by fire, while some say by ice. Then, from what I have tasted, now this is the poet's opinion. From what I have tasted of desire, I hold with those who favor fire. So, on the first thought, initially, the poet feels that he has also seen how desire can be, monstrous. You remember that story of King Midas, who wanted gold, so much of gold that when he prayed to God, and God appeared before him, he said that, "Give me the boon that whatever I touch will turn to gold." And you all know the story that when he touched his own daughter, she also turned into gold. And then he realized that, well, there are certain things beyond gold, beyond money, beyond riches that is more close to him. So that is it. So, when he was sat for eating, his food turned gold. You cannot possibly eat gold. So all these things, it's a moral based story. You get in Aesop's fables and all. that it's not desire that should dominate you. Yes, man should have desire. I'm not saying that we all are saints and all. We do have desires of our own. Some have a desire to be successful, to be a successful professional of any line and all. But then that desire shouldn't be empowering us in that way that we are obsessed with it. You have a desire, but don't have an obsession of it. Otherwise, your desire is going to ruin you. So the poet holds this, the desire of power. I will be the ruling power. You see, in the world, the war between nations, this is all a power game. Who wants to be the best one, or the most powerful one? It's all based on that. So, um, poet says that what he has learned of desire, tasted of desire is a metaphor used here. Tasted of desire means experienced of desire. He has not really tasted it, but this metaphor is food metaphor is used here. So tasted of desire, I hold with those. I hold with those means I support those who favor fire. Who favor fire, that means who think that fire is going to ruin the world. Okay. Now favor fire is an example of alliteration. Alright. And the initial two lines, if you say, it's beginning with the same pair of words, some say, some say. So that is an example of, yes, you are right, anaphora. 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 Anaphora is that figure of speech where the beginning of the consecutive lines, they are same. Okay. So that's an example of anaphora. And then the third line, as I told you, there's a metaphor. And in the fourth line, favor fire, that is an example of alliteration. Now let us move on to the second stanza. But if it had to perish twice, I think I know enough of it to say that for destruction I could also do it, and would suffice. So, but if it had to perish twice. Now, on a second thought, the poet says, suppose the first round of destruction has happened with the help of fire, like desire. Now there is still some more to be destroyed. Then I think if there is a chance that the world is to perish twice, it has to get ruined twice, it has to die twice, then I think I know enough of hate to say that for destruction ice is also great. For ice representing hatred, representing communal feelings, representing rigidity, obstinacy, is good enough to ruin the world, to perish the world. So to say that for destruction ice is also great and would suffice. Suffice means would be sufficient to destroy. So, in other words, the poet feels that both fire and ice individually have the power to ruin this world, to end this world, to destroy this world. Why? Because any desire which is endless, which is incessant, you find plenty of examples in literature as well as in real life. But wherever the desire goes beyond you, then beyond your control, then there is definitely a way. You find the dynasties in history, they are developing, they are progressing so well. But one of their, maybe one in this in that particular dynasty, I don't want to name any dynasty particularly here because I don't want to defame any dynasty in particular. So any dynasty you find wherever there is a fall because of the overlapping ambition. And that reminds me of the character, famous character Macbeth by William Shakespeare. There also, he was such a gallant warrior. He was such a gallant, brave man. He fought everyone single-handedly, and he was awarded and appreciated, acknowledged by the king. And he commits the heinous crime of regicide. You know what regicide is? Killing a king. So and that too in his own chamber, when he comes as a guest, King Duncan comes as a guest, Macbeth tells him, right? The desire for throne, the desire to rule, and then his ruin comes, his downfall begins. So fire and ice both are ruining powers, and this has been used so well through the help of symbols by Robert Frost. Now, mainly symbols we get here, and as I pointed out in the first stanza, there are poetic devices. And the second stanza, well, if you see, but if it has to perish twice, I think I know enough of hate to say that for destruction ice is also good. Again, there is symbol and would suffice. So not much of isolated figures here. However, the entire poem, again, if you see, there are several examples of enjambment. Okay, the first two lines, again, the third and fourth line. Again, if you see in the second stanza, the second and the third, second to the last line is an enjambment. Okay. Now, the rhyme scheme, if you see, it is A B A A in the first stanza, and then again B C B C B. Okay. Two separate rhyme schemes he uses for the two things because he wants to distinguish it actually. The first one is fire, and the second one is ice. Alright, so two different types of rhyme schemes he uses over here. Uh, In the previous poem, that is Dust of Snow, let me just conclude by relating it to it. You find the rhyme scheme where the way a crow shook down on me, that those lines if you follow, you get A, B, A, B, then again A, B, A, B. There is a regular rhyme scheme of A, B, A, B in the previous poem. So, yeah, so these are the two great poems of Robert Frost. I hope you will enjoy reading them, understanding them, and of course, later on, answering them. Now, I leave a few questions for you all to ponder. You are most welcome to write the answers in the inbox. I will be glad to see them. Uh, one would be uh, why do you think the poet chooses fire and ice as symbols of desire, greed, lust on one hand, and hatred, obstinacy, and rigidity on another? This is one question from Fire and Ice. And from the previous one, that is Dust of Snow, uh, what different kind of bird and tree does the poet use to depict his feelings in this poem? Do you think that he thinks out of the box? Robert Frost thinks out of the box by choosing these different kinds of birds and trees. So please answer them. I would be looking forward to that. All right. Okay. Have a nice day. Bye.